Okay, guys, we're going to get started with our fried green tomato recipe. First, you're going to need some green tomatoes from your local grocer, market, wherever you get them. We're going to use 2 eggs, 1 cup of milk, flour, cornmeal, salt, and pepper. Now, once you slice your tomatoes, you're going to want to cut the ends of each tomato from the top and the bottom and get rid of those. You're going to slice your tomato in round circles with a little thickness, not really thick, as you can see this tomato. And you're going to want to season both sides before you start to put into your batter. Now, some people season their cornmeal and their flour. I'm going to put mine directly onto the tomato. So you're also going to want to have in a skillet some cooking oil already getting hot. At about 350 is when you're going to add these tomatoes to your cooking grease. And you're going to want to have a plate so that once you batter these, you want them to sit as you're, battering the others before you put them in the grease. You'll put them in there all at once so you can keep up with the cooking time and turn them, around the same time instead of adding one and adding another, 20 seconds later, that kind of thing. So we're going to start our fried green tomato recipe today after seasoning with salt and pepper on each side. We're going to dip this tomato into our flour batter. Just like that, you're going to dip it into the flour. You're going to take it into the milk with the eggs. And we're going to add it to our plate. So we're going to make a switch here so we have a better camera angle. We're going to switch our 2 plates here. And we're just going to let that sit for a minute. And then we're going to do this again. You just keep doing that, okay? Flour, milk, and eggs onto the plate. Let them sit for a few minutes, a few seconds at least. Flour. Into the milk and eggs. So we have cornmeal. I did tell you already we have cornmeal and flour. I mentioned that to you already just to make sure you know you have both. Now we're going to, when we cook these, we don't cook up a lot at one time because you want to eat them when they're hot. When they're cold, they don't taste as tasty. So we're going to keep doing this. And we're going to add these. So after we let these sit for a minute, then we put our cornmeal on. We don't do that right away. You kind of let them come to a rest, and then you add your cornmeal because you want your flour to kind of settle in around the tomato, your flour batter. So that guy doesn't want to come out. Okay, so now we're going to take these and we're going to add them to our cornmeal, just like so. And we're going to dip them into our grease here. At about 350. It's nice and hot. You don't want to cook them too fast. You're going to cook them for about 2 to 3 minutes per side, and then you're going to turn them over for the final cooking on the other side. You'll get a little buildup of the flour and cornmeal, on your fingers. Just kind of, break it to the side of your dish. It's okay. And then we continue to add these. When they're nice and hot, they are so good. Once they get cold on you, they don't have the same taste. So when you take them out of the grease, you're going to lay them onto a rack so that you can drain the grease. Putting them on a paper towel, I don't suggest that because it just causes the grease to soak back into the tomato. So I recommend putting it on a rack to let them drain, okay? So So into here, a little this, into that. Okay. And we're cooking them up.
What you cooking, honey?
I'm making fried green tomatoes today, sweetie.
I never had that.
I know, so I'm gonna give you a treat today, something you've never had before. Good old fried green tomatoes. Southern fried green tomatoes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Smell good too.
Yep, these are very good, very tasty, very easy to make. See, these are cooking up as we go. They're just, cooking along really nicely. And you're gonna wanna get yourself a spatula, or, well, no, in this case, I would suggest using tongs to turn them so that you don't burn yourself or cause your grease to spatter out of your skillet. You don't want the grease burn. We try to avoid all of that in the kitchen. So we're going to add these to our cornmeal. So it's going to be egg wash with the milk, flour, and then cornmeal into the skillet. And it gets a little confusing, so I'm doing a double dip here. So we're going to do this into the cornmeal, and it's kind of the way you place them in order so you can kind of follow yourself. And then you just continue to add. Right now we should be ready to turn our first batch on here. Some people, don't use flour. Some people don't use cornmeal. It's totally up to you. You can also use buttermilk for this if you like. It's all to your taste. So we're going to use some tongs here to turn these over, just so we can, as you can see, they're cooking up. I don't know if you can see that. They're cooking up nicely. We turn them over after a couple minutes of cooking, about 2 to 3 minutes. We're going to let those cook a little longer. So there you have it. You're going to let them cook for about 3 minutes per side, and then you will turn them to cook another 3 minutes on the other side. So we'll come back and show you what our finished tomatoes look like. All right, stay tuned. Okay guys, our tomatoes are all done and ready to come out to be placed on our cooking rack. This is going to keep some of the grease from soaking back into your tomatoes. So I suggest at this point you have a cooking rack to drain them. Next time you see them, they'll be ready for presentation. Okay guys, there is our final fried green tomato recipe. These are smaller green tomatoes, but they were brought over to me and given to me by a neighbor. So you can never say no when your neighbors bring you something tasty that they grow in their, in their garden. Homegrown vegetables are so good. They have just a great flavor over something you buy, out of a store. So I turned these into some great fried green tomatoes. We are going to enjoy them just as they are. You can include a dipping sauce. Any sauce, that you may like is perfectly okay. When you fry your tomatoes, be careful with, as usual, with any hot grease. If there are little children around, be careful when you're cooking. Always remember to be safe and sanitary in your kitchen at all times. Remember, we love you and God loves you more, I'm sure you know. And we would like for you to like, share, and subscribe our YouTube channel before you leave. Come back, for great future recipes, that we have lined up for you. Okay, we will see you later. We're going to enjoy our tomatoes.
We out of here.
We're out.